Good morning.
Howdy. Yes, we both have coffee this morning.
Yes. Yes. And we don't know how this is going to go because, as usual, we're not scripted. But a lot of interesting things going on in JW world, isn't there?
Well, it seems like it. Governing body members are missing, and
Yeah.
and now there's a questionnaire being floated around, and I guess that's pretty much the topic of this video, with a few other things thrown in as just mentionables.
Well, speaking of the governing body disappearing, everybody's doing these videos and everybody's excited because they disappeared because they're being subpoenaed by the court. Well, we don't know that. We don't know why they've disappeared. It could be. Most attorneys, if you are subpoenaed or mentioned as a defendant in a court case or even a plaintiff, you are told by the attorney to get off of social media. So, JW.org would basically be the same thing.
Yeah,
so
it's social media.
So did their legal department tell them, just go lay low for a while because anything you say will be used against you in court?
Yeah, and that's why it's an idiotic thing for, anybody who's being sued by anybody to get on the social media platform and talk about it, because you potentially going to hurt your case. But some people don't get it.
Well, think of an ex-JW right
Yes.
now that's being sued by Watchtower and 11 congregations because, they hacked into a attorney-client privilege Zoom meeting.
So let's go and talk about it. Let's get everything out in the air so that whatever you say will be used against you in a court of law. There's a complete disconnect here, Kim.
I know. Well, another thing I'm thinking of is, did the governing body disappear because of the federal investigation? Everybody's forgotten about that.
Mm-hmm.
What if that is part of it? Because anything they say or do in videos or print, guess what? We're getting uploaded to the federal investigators.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's already tons of information. So they may try to take down some of these videos off of jw.org, but guess what? I grab them when they first come out. Atlantis grabbed them when they first came out. So him and I have every single JW broadcast all the way back to October 2014 when they first started doing their little show. So they cannot erase the history. And guess what? It is being used in court against them.
Yeah.
So, we have been saying for years, when you go on social media and these live streams and stuff, be careful of what you're saying because it can be used against you. And
with that thought in mind regarding this survey, even though they say it's, your information is protected and it's anonymous. Don't believe it, because the very computer you're using to take this survey has an IP address. They can track it.
Yes. Now, I want to thank the person that sent this to me. I'm not sure if he's a PMO, so I'm not going to mention his first name, but thank you very much, because he sent me an email yesterday and said that he was invited by his one of his relatives to take this survey. Yes, it's true. The Canada branch has asked several congregations to be part of this survey. It is a real survey, and we'll talk about this here in a minute, and we have the links. But he says this got sent to different congregations in Canada. This came from a PMO. So there's, some interesting things about this survey, and somebody, a PMO, has uploaded it to online, and like I said, I was sent the PDF, and it's also on archive.org. They uploaded it to that, and it's by the University of Sheffield, Beliefs and Values of Jehovah's Witnesses. Dear respondent, we would like to invite you to take part in an important survey of the beliefs and practices of Jehovah's Witnesses around the world, your lives as worshipers and citizens, and the quality of life that you experience. The survey has been designed by a panel of international experts in religion in consultation with experts from the Office of Public Information at the World Headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses. We would like to find out what members of the Jehovah's Witness community worldwide find important in their spiritual lives, as well as how you feel about major moral and social questions. We would like to learn about the experiences of witnesses in different countries and how witnesses throughout the world manage their everyday lives. This is to help us to better understand the needs and priorities of the Jehovah's Witnesses community across the world. Now, first, I want to mention that I also want to thank John very much, because he's the one that sent me the link to this, and it was like on Reddit and several others. And of course the Internet Archive, the archive.org. And I forgot to thank him yesterday for sending me the link to that, so thank you. And I forgot to thank Petra for the elders' letters. My goodness, it's been busy. So you can go and download this. It's 157 pages. The text that the PIMOs are being sent, it's elders sending these out to Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're being told that it's going to take you about an hour to complete this survey. You mean they're going to take an hour away from studying about Jehovah and preaching to take this survey?
I've got a whole different direction and thought process in this completely.
Well, I have to wonder. But anyway, I got kind of sidetracked and distracted. But most of the PIMOs are saying they're afraid to take this survey because they think it's a witch hunt to find who they are.
Well, if that's your thought as a PIMO, then investigate this. Who's sponsoring this? Because universities don't do this shit for free. Somebody's making money to take this survey. Think about that. Is this a backdoor way of getting PIMO's excuse? Because if you've got an elder saying, hey, would you like to participate in JW survey days? And then guess what? Oh, no. Are you signaling already that you're possibly a PIMO?
Yeah.
See? This is the precautions. This is the critical thinking that we all should be looking at. First of all, who is really sponsoring this? Where's the money coming from for this university and all these people worldwide getting together to put this survey out?
Well, they're going to have to pay those experts too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah. See, and the thing is how many of the PIMOs, if they do take the survey, are not going to give honest answers?
Well, okay, go ahead.
We know of an ex-JW.
Yep.
His was actually called JW Survey several years ago. Well, many of us took the survey and pretended to be like circuit overseers and elders just because he was such a jerk.
And then videos were made. Oh, I got a long survey from a circuit overseer. And he did a video on it, and all of us were laughing and mocking him behind the scenes because we knew who was doing this. So when you take surveys, you're not getting 100% honest answers, and I don't care who you are, especially if you're involved with some sort of Christian-based faith sector group. You're not going to be 100% honest with yourself until you really wake up. And if you are a PIMO, you know as well as I do, you can't be 100% honest with those answers because you're going to be outing yourself.
Yeah, they may claim this is going to be anonymous, and they will only use your information if you give it to them and a written consent, but we know how that how that works.
It's the fast track to getting outed.
And I wish I had time to read through every single one of these 157 pages because, you know, I'm sure there's some really good stuff in here that I'm probably going to miss. And if any of you read through all of this and you come across a good one that I didn't cover, you know, please, you know, if you have time, send me what page it was on this PDF and let me know. Well, I found the subheading religious motivations. Now we know PMOs, their motivation is self-preservation.
Yeah.
We don't blame you because this is such a damaging cult. They know, we know, you will lose everything. These PMOs see all of us out here speaking about what has happened to us since we left. And they're like, oh my God, I am not gonna, lose my family. We know of a man that he lost everything. His wife divorced him. He lost his kids. She threw him out. He was homeless, lost everything. He was working for JW. He lost his job. So you lose everything. There's punishment for when you do come out and leave. You can't just walk away. You cannot do that.
And just bear in mind, if you're leaving Jehovah's Witnesses and you're experiencing this, know for a fact you're not alone. Grab a paper and pencil and I'll give you a few YouTube channels that I just recently become acquainted with, and the story resonates with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. YouTube channel named Casey Malone. The title of this video, which should really pique your interest, Christian Values Are a Lie. Another YouTube channel, Mind Shift. Is Yahweh a trickster God? Now we all know that everybody's going to say, oh no, he's not. But yet God, Yahweh, took counsel, conspired with another angel to fabricate a lie to the prophets of Ahab. But yet you go to the book of Hebrews, whoever wrote the book of Hebrews talks about how there are two things for which it is impossible for God to lie. No, it's not, because he conspired to do it. There's another YouTube channel, Dante Lamar. He's a former pastor. He's exposing the whole entire gimmick. Okay? And then there's another one out there. The channel is called The Recovering Catholic. Listen to his story and how even Catholics bash him for exposing the game and the mechanism. This isn't anything unique to Jehovah's Witnesses waking up and leaving. It's something that's happening across the board when you decide to wake up and realize that your religion has been lying to you your entire life, and it's nothing more than just a mechanism to keep you under control, and so is this survey.
So back to the survey. Now I want to mention that I know my mom. And I'm pretty sure his mom, and I can pretty well bet that all of the older JWs are not going to take this survey because they are indoctrinated from, the minute they become part of the Jehovah's Witnesses, that this would be part of Satan's system. This is a university. Oh, well, we're not supposed to get a higher education. Universities are bad, so I am not going to take this survey.
Yeah.
So I don't expect Watchtower, the Canadian branch, to get many responses at all because they're not going to trust this, for one. Even if the elders do send it to them, many PMOs are leery of their elders sending them stuff and making comments because, oh, well, I think he's a PMO elder and he's going to out me, protect his own backside. And the elders are already looking on a witch hunt for PMOs. So they are not going to trust the elders. They're going to say, oh, well, this elder sent me this survey. Yeah, they're going on a witch hunt trying to find all of us PMOs. They are not going to take the survey.
Well, here's the perfect qualifier. Didn't you get something leaked to us that said, we got to protect the organization? How do we not know this isn't a form of some sort of backdoor form questionnaire to help protect the organization?
So here on page 23 of this PDF, Religious Motivations, we would now like to ask some questions about your religious motivations. Please think about each of the statements below carefully. Does the attitude or behavior described in the statement apply to you? And they have the graph, like strongly disagree, strongly agree, prefer not to say.
they're going to end up with a lot of that.
Yeah. My whole approach to life is based on my religion.
Well, I like this one right here. I enjoy reading about my religion. I remember one time I was out in service with my mother-in-law in Wisconsin, and we're walking up to this house, and we got on the porch, and she asked me, Michael, have you ever read the Bible from cover to cover? And I said, yeah, a couple of times. And she admitted, I never read the Bible from cover to cover. Then how can you go from door to door preaching about the Bible when you've never read it and you don't know what's in it from cover to cover? But see, they don't go preaching about the Bible, they go preaching about the organization.
Well, that's the thing, is you'd think someone who started studying in 1965, she would have read the entire Bible.
She had ample time to do it. But how many times were you and I out in service, and we were in the back seat, and we would, playing this guessing game, and, somebody would go, well, where'd you get that from? It was in the recent Watchtower. They don't read their own literature. The only thing that Jehovah's Witnesses are concerned about is that on Thursday nights, it used to be on Thursday nights, you would be prompted what to say the following Saturday in service through your Kingdom Ministries. That's all they know about the Bible and or even Watchtower.
Well, it's interesting that they just came out with the May broadcast, and that governing body Little Helper, he was talking about praying for comfort and support from Jehovah in times of grief and sorrow and tribulation. And then one of the questions here in the survey is, I pray mainly to gain relief and protection. Another good one. What religion offers me most is comfort in the times of trouble and sorrow. This one. I go to the Kingdom Hall mainly because I enjoy seeing people I know there. Or your friends and family. Because if you don't, you're going to lose it.
Yeah. See, and there again, how are those questions designed? Is everything else a trick? And then by the time you get down to those religious questions, this is where they're going to discover you as PIMOs?
Yeah.
Bait and switch, people.
Yeah. Religious upbringing and practices. They want to know what your mother's faith was and your father's faith. When you were a child, how often did your mother attend religious services for worship? How often did your father attend?
See, and this is why I got to call bullshit on this, Kim. Because if these universities were sincerely interested in the practices of these religions, in particular Jehovah's Witnesses, this questionnaire would have gone out to ex-members, because I guarantee you'd have got 100% truthful answers. This is why I'm calling bullshit. Oh. Because you're not going to get truthful answers from Christian-based, faith-based groups.
Yeah.
You need to go to the ex-members if you want to get a real sense of what's going on behind closed doors. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, well, this goes along with my mom. People may practice their religion in different ways. Outside of attending meetings for worship, how often do you read the Bible?
They don't.
How often do you pray?
Only when they need something.
Yeah, besides attending meetings for worship, how often do you take part in the ministry or other activities organized by the congregation? Yeah. So anyway, I will put the links down below to everything I have, and it appears that this is a real JW survey, and many of the elders it's from the Canada branch, and many elders are sending this out to congregations that have been asked to participate. And it would be interesting to find out how many actually take the survey.
Well, there again, I haven't read it, but is there any clue into this to what the margin of error is going to be? Because the margin of error is going to have to be very high, friends. It's going to have a high margin of error.
Yeah, we already know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, on to other news. And I want to thank Petra very much for sending me the link to this. The RSG shuts down hospital after a pregnant woman dies following denied blood transfusion. Now, the RSG is the River State Government of Nigeria. And they have a sign in the article, and I'll put the link down below to this article, but the sign is the Office of the Director of Medical Services, Ministry of Health. And it's just a short article. It says the River State government has sealed Standard Maternity Hospital in Borakiri, Port Harcourt, following the death of a pregnant woman, Victoria Paris, who was allegedly denied a life-saving blood transfusion due to religious beliefs. Paris, a mother of 4, sad that they lost their mom, and resident of Port Harcourt, was 7 months pregnant when she went into preterm labor. According to her brother-in-law, Chris Adams, she was rushed to the hospital where she underwent a cesarean section and suffered severe blood loss. Despite the critical situation, the hospital's owner reportedly refused to carry out a blood transfusion, citing Paris's affiliation with the Jehovah's Witness faith as the reason. As her condition worsened, family members quickly moved her to another nearby facility where she was declared dead on arrival. This is horrifying.
Well, at what point does that survey do this?
Yeah. In response to public outcry and preliminary findings, authorities have shut down the hospital as investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death continue. I would like to see how the Public of Information Department of Watchtower is going to handle this shit show.
Well, the problem is those that are going to be asking the questions, they're not going to ask the proper questions. And if by chance they do, the Public Information Department of Jehovah's Witnesses are going to deflect. They're going to throw in a straw man argument, or they're going to throw in a red herring, or they're just going to use circular reasoning.
Yeah.
See, that's why these surveys do no good, because Jehovah's Witnesses have become masters at throwing in a straw man argument, red herrings, circular reasoning, deflection, all of it.
Yeah.
It's just a common practice. You want to get to the truth of the matter, talk to ex-members.
Yeah.
Of any religion, and they'll tell you what's going on behind closed doors for real. But the problem with this hospital thing is if they don't go after Watchtower in this situation as a corporation, and they try to go after them from religious beliefs, the only thing they're going to be able to get is the hospital. They're not going to be able to get Watchtower, because you need to go after the corporation. And I've been singing this for a decade now.
Yeah.
Stop bringing Watchtower to court under a religious doctrine. You need to go after them from a corporation.
Yeah.
And they are a corporation because they even have a set of bylaws.
Well, the thing is because in most countries, especially here in the United States, we have the Constitution, which grants them the right of freedom of religion. So they can practice any religion they want. Even Satanists
Yep.
have the right to the freedom of their religion.
Yeah.
Muslims, they all have the right to their religion. So, that is where you have to do it in a way to where it bypasses the doctrines and beliefs, and then you have to take it to where it's actually a crime. Right. Like not reporting CSA, that is a crime. And many of the others, violation of our human rights. We need to get around that and quit focusing these lawsuits on doctrines, and we need to go after their corporate practices.
And that's why they continue to openly create shell companies such as the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. See, these are nothing but shell corporations so they can move money from spot to spot to spot without losing it all at once.
Well, many don't know the order of the religious order of Jehovah's Witnesses. They have to sign a vow of poverty. Well, your missionaries, your special pioneers, and your circuit overseers are under that order of religious, or the religious order of Jehovah's Witnesses. That is another corporation. You know,
Yeah.
there's so many tentacles that Watchtower has. Because guess what? It's the circuit overseers that appoint elders.
Now.
And when they're hiding CSA, well, then it goes to the circuit overseers. Well, Watchtower can cover their backsides and
Right.
say, hey, it wasn't us. It was the order, the religious order of Jehovah's Witnesses and the circuit overseers, not us.
That's why decades ago the organization separated itself from Pennsylvania. See? But hey, what do we know?
Well, Zalkin successfully, tried that case in California because, and I mean, Watchtower was fighting them tooth or nail. They were getting fined, what was it, like $4,000 a day for not giving their Pervo database because Zalkin wanted that. And they kept trying to say that the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, who oversees congregations and elders, doesn't have anything to do with the legal department of Watchtower.
Right.
Well, Zalkin was able to, prove that they share a legal department. So they're one and the same.
And that's how you bring down a corporation.
Yeah, you have to use these corporate, tactics and prove. Well, yeah, because if you share a legal department and that database is at Watchtower, you can. And guess what? Part of that database was released to him. But Watchtower was fighting that tooth and nail because they didn't want to release the Pervo's names because that was a violation of their privacy.
Their privacy, yeah.
See, this is how Watchtower fights this. And that's why you have to be careful in your wording, when you do these podcasts and these videos and stuff, because things are very carefully worded.
But hey, what do we know?
Yeah, we're just a couple old farts, huh?
What do we know?
So you all have a wonderful week. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.